But I think if the teacher can get the learner to like just get that extra 10, 15, 20% of concentration and, you know, willingness to actually come to school and work hard.
What is up, everybody? And hello from planet Earth. I'm your host, Philip. Most of you'll know me as Phil, and this is the Future Minds podcast. Simply the best podcast out there, covering all you need to know in edtech, online learning, the digital economy, and what's being done around the world to shape the minds of the future. In today's episode, I'll be speaking with Damian Willemse. Damien is a South African rugby player playing for the Springboks, and he plays club rugby for the Western Province Stormers. Having grown up in Strand, Damien attended Paul Roos High School and then further went on to pursue a career as a professional sportsman. At the young age of only 22, Damien is a role model for all young and aspiring South Africans looking to pursue a career in sport. In this episode, Damien and I discuss what it's like being a professional rugby player, his childhood influences and early education, what it takes to be a leader on and off the field, and what comes after rugby. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with Damien, and I'm sure you will too. Without further ado, I bring you Damian Willemse. Damien, thank you for coming on.
Philip, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on your show.
Absolute pleasure. So, you're a South African rugby player. I think very few South Africans might not know who you are. But for those listening that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, also, I'm Damian Willemse, born and bred in Strand. Come from a local community called Castro, where people are very passionate about their rugby. It's a very loving, caring community, you know. People next door always like, you know, how can I say, like, you know, that's typical loving communities where everyone knows everyone's business and, you know, everyone just cares for each other. So yeah, as I said, rugby is a big part of my community and where I come from. Actually, sport is a very big part of our community. And I went to Somerset West Methodist Primary. After that, went to Paul Roos. I forgot to mention I've got older brother who's Ramon Samuels. He is my brother, just different surnames. He was born before marriage. And then I've got two younger sisters. One is 16 and one is turning 8 this year. So yeah, born and bred in Strand, as I said. Very sporty person. So yeah, that's pretty much what I can tell you about me.
So you've always been playing sport, always been playing rugby?
Yeah, always been.
Since you can remember? Since
I can remember, even though it's like X Games or like snowboarding or anything like that. I've always been into sport, just watching it, and how can I say, I've just always loved, you know, sport in general, and I think I'm just a sport person.
So it's interesting you say that because, you know, looking at it, all South African rugby players, it seems like there was a point in their careers where they almost had to decide which sport to choose, especially sort of in that high school transition phase. And one of my favorite events to watch is when you've got the Springboks playing the Proteas, and you've got that sort of combo game going on. Did you play any cricket? Did you play any other sport?
Yeah, actually I did play some cricket. I played cricket since primary school. Cricket was one of the sports that I was quite good at. I also had to make that decision in grade 10. Obviously knew that I didn't want to become a professional cricket player, but I think I had the potential to, you know, hopefully or potentially become a Protea. Played cricket, made first team debut, I think grade 10. Played, I think, 5 caps for Paul's first team. And grade 11, sort of still wanted to play cricket, but I decided to just invest my time in rugby and focus on my rugby career. I'm happy with the decision. Didn't think about it twice, but that was also a tough decision to make. As I said, like, I had potential to obviously, you know, excel in the sport of cricket. I'm very happy with the decision I made and the route I went.
Nice. And Paul Roos is obviously known as a sporting school. It's got a great rugby facility, and historically been a great or strong rugby school, but you've got a lot of competition. You know, you've got the likes of Paul Jim, you've got the likes of Grays, Michael House, and the like. Who at school was your biggest rivals? Who's the biggest competition?
Yeah, so definitely locally we have a lot of competition. You know, it's very strong schools in all sports codes. But yeah, definitely one of our biggest rivals is Grey Bloem, Great College from Bloemfontein, and then obviously our locals will be Paul Boys, Paul's Gym. We also have a big rivalry between Bishops and Sax, and one of my favourite games playing against the Cape Town schools was playing against Sax and Bishops as well. But Sax, we had this very traditional day. I'm not sure what we used to call it. I think it was Winter's Day, and yeah, that was just one of those very historical days that I've always, since I came to Paul Roos, you know, I've wanted to take part in the first team game where the two head boys, you know, hand over, they like do like a little bit of exchange. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've enjoyed about that day, whether we played on the Memorial A or we played on Paul Roos on Makotter. That's one of the days that, you know, really will stick with me and I will, you know, keep with me for the rest of my life. It's really a special day and it's an awesome day, despite you know, the winning and losing. I mean, like against Paul Boys and Paul Jim, you know, I haven't won a game against them, but you know, just the rivalry, playing in that game, having the atmosphere around you, you know, everyone supporting you from the school, you know, that's the type of stuff that I will take away from my rugby career and my schoolboy career. It's not always the, you know, if you win or if you lose. And sometimes, you know, if you do get someone out and we have a drink at the bar or something, they'll always be like, yeah, but we won you guys that year. And I'm like, that's not what it's about. You know, it's about like, you know, school coming together, you know, making memories with your friends on the field, despite the loss or the win. That's not the goal, I think. And I don't think schoolboy rugby should be moving that way. I think it should be a platform where youngsters could go out and play rugby, express themselves and, you know, enjoy and make memories, as I said. So, yeah, for me, as I said, the Memorial A and Makotter was something I really enjoyed.
Amazing. And I mean, transitioning from that to becoming a Springbok rugby player, that's an incredible journey. Tell me a little bit about what it felt like to earn that first Springbok cap.
Yeah, no, it was a huge week for me, and it was a very nerve-wracking week as well. I can clearly remember, I think we had our Tuesday session, and one day I forgot my boots at the hotel, and that's how crazy that week was, and how nervous I was for just experiencing that week. But also it was a lot of fun, and you know, I really enjoyed it, and you know, took in everything. Being in camp like for a match day week with the Springboks, I mean, like, this is something that, you know, growing up, this is where you want to be, this is the level you want to be at, and just experiencing that firsthand, you know, it was a dream come true. Like, I can't always put it into words when people ask me, but yeah, for me, just being around Siya Kolisi, players that I've looked up to, like watching them on my screens at home, and now to obviously being in the room with them, even with the coaching staff, you know, with Coach Rassi and Coach Chalk there. Yeah, it was just a massive honor and a privilege, you know, to be able to just play one game for the Springboks. You know, there's people and players that has been working their whole life and never got that opportunity. And for me, getting that opportunity, I think at 20 years old, you know, was a dream come true, and still be a dream come true for me. But yeah, it was a nervous week, but it was an exciting week, and you know, some one that I'm very grateful for. And obviously, you know, I have to give thanks to God, you know, for blessing me with this wonderful opportunity and talent that I have, you know, to play rugby for a living, and you know, to just do like what I love. And yeah, for that, you know, I'm obviously very thankful for my parents and everyone at home supporting me, and you know, always pushing me to be the best version of myself. I can't just speak about myself when I speak about my debut or I experienced it, because I was privileged enough to have my family there as well, which was very special. So yeah, it was a very privileged and honored day for me and the family.
Incredible. I mean, I can't imagine what it must feel like to walk out in a stadium where you've got, 50, 60, 70, 80,000 people cheering. It must be an incredible experience.
Yeah, no, it was an incredible experience, especially that was our first game of the Rugby Championship against Argentina, and obviously we wanted to get off to a good start. And I can remember singing the national anthem for the first time, wearing a Springbok badge. And it was in Durban, which is also a special place to play rugby in. People love the rugby there. And man, it was...
Yeah.
Can't describe that feeling, but singing the national anthem and representing my country with the Springbok badge on doesn't get any better than that.
I mean, rugby is such an incredible sport, especially in this country where I think there's very few things that transcends everything, with such a sort of rich history and a complicated history that we have in South Africa. The one sport that I feel more than any other that has brought everybody together, no matter race, no matter gender, no matter religion, has been rugby. And, when you spoke about the national anthem now even just thinking about the World Cup, for example, it gives me goosebumps because that's like it's the one thing that brings the entire nation together no matter what. And I mean, just to be able to make a career out of that and to be able to excel must be just absolutely incredible. So, compliments to you and well done for what you've achieved so far.
Thank you so much, man.
That said, you're only 22 years old.
Yes, sir.
So you've still got a long way to go in your career.
Yeah.
There's a lot of responsibility that comes with being a top flight athlete at the young age of 22. And what I've seen is that can either send an athlete or an individual one of two ways. And it can either send you in the wrong direction, having that fame and having that exposure at an early age, or if you've got the right mentorship and you've got the right structure around you, it can be the foundation for an incredibly prosperous career. What have you done personally to try and sort of continuously center yourself and keep yourself grounded and focus on the rugby and not the fame?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And for me, it probably started when I was younger. I think my family and my grandma. So I grew up with my gran. So she basically, brought me up because my mom and dad was working different shifts. So either an early morning shift or working through the night or, those kind of stuff. So they couldn't always be there for me. So my gran took me under her wing and she actually raised both my brother and I. I think that's where the foundation started for me. I think my gran and obviously my family, raised me with very good values. Just taking that and living the way that you as a person values yourself and the way you and your values. And then obviously, having gone to Paul Roos, which is, it is a very well-known sports school, but just walking in there and, the values that we at Paul Roos have, it's pride, respect, gentlemanship, which stands for PRG. And I mean, like, that's one of the stuff or areas where I think I also excelled and learned so much, from a value or like point of view. I think Paul Roos is not just a sports school, I think actually Paul Roos is more academic and culture, and then sports. As you've seen in the past 5 years, we've been in the top 5 when it came to maths, science, cultural stuff. Our school is very, very focused on traditions and values and empowering or like making you better as a person.
Yes.
I think that's pretty much how I value myself and how I live by my values as a person. And then as you touched on the fame and stuff, I think it's important for you as a person to identify, what's more important. Is it going to be the fame? Is it going to be the money? Is it going to be all the side shows and stuff that don't really matter? I'm not saying that money and those stuff, that's not important, it's irrelevant. It is important. For me, like, I just stay focused on, what I can control, which is my work ethic, the way I represent myself in public, the way I look at myself as a person, every day, and how I can improve myself. And yeah, I think just at the fame thing, I don't think you should be able to, or like let that stuff like be part of you. I think just let it be as it is, and just be yourself. I mean, like, you can't let like something like that influence you directly and change you as a person, because you are. And as I said, like, the way my grand brought me up, and that's probably much like who I am.
And I guess that humility also helps on the field, because it keeps you grounded. It keeps you wanting to learn and wanting to improve constantly. So speaking about on the field, what do you prefer, fullback, fly half, or inside center?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a topic that's been raised a few times now over the last year. So for me, like, I am able to play more than two positions, which benefits me, but it also puts me in a position where, like, I can be shuffled around. But for me, the most important thing at the moment is to play rugby and to be in the starting team. Not even the starting team. If I can make the team and if I'm good enough to make the team, I want to be playing. Doesn't matter which position I'm playing, But yeah, I would say, like, I've been playing number 10 my whole life. I've played fullback in primary school and high school as well. So yeah, I'm happy to play in either position. It's not something that I do prefer or not prefer. I prefer both fullback and fly half. At the moment, I'm trying to focus a bit more on fullback. I think that's where I have most of my strengths at the moment. So yeah, something I'm focusing on, and
Nice.
Keen to see how that goes, and keen to give it a proper run in the next year or two, and see what happens from there.
Nice. So rugby team is always it's always interesting to look for somebody that doesn't play rugby but has always been a rugby fan. You've got such a diverse range of individuals, physically speaking, on the field. How much of rugby is physical performance and physical aptitude and talent versus having that sort of mental fortitude and intelligence to understand the game, understand the plays, and understand your opposition? Because you certainly need a combination of the two. Is one more important than the other, or do you see that as being, two combining forces?
Yeah, that's also a very good question. I think about 2 years ago, I realized it, and for me, I think rugby is a more mental sport at the moment. And actually, one of my captions was, "It's more mental these days than physical." And what I meant by that is that mentally you have to be strong, because if you look at rugby players in general, everyone's an athlete and everyone can, lift weights and do the physical part. The physical part is the easy part, I think, because if I put you in the same program as I am and we do that for 6 months, we will both be on the same level. You know what I'm saying? So the physical part, anyone can do the physical part if you invest the time and you put in the work. But the mental side is becoming more of a topic and needs more bit of awareness, I think. And yeah, as you touched on the game plan and stuff like that, that's pretty much something that comes with the job. That's almost like sending your emails.
Yes.
You have to reply to emails. If you don't reply to emails, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think the mental aspect of the rugby game is so important, and it's becoming a bigger topic, or much talked about topic at the moment. And I think just even in COVID now, obviously no crowds, and if you lose a game and people commenting on your photos and stuff, and it does have a toll on you as a rugby player, and that does creep into your game a little bit and can creep into your game a little bit. So I think there mentally you have to be strong. Yes. And you need to be able to not just stay off social media, because I think running away from social media, deleting your social media, is almost like trying to run away from something that's going to be there. It's always going to be there. Whether you delete your Instagram, you're still going to walk past someone in the market or whatever, supermarket or whatever, and they're still going to tell you, but well, what happened here, whatever. They're still going to ask you those questions. So yeah, I think it does come with the game, but I do think that the mental part, losing a game or whatever it might be, can have an impact on rugby players and does have an impact on rugby players. And I think also a lot of rugby players don't usually like speak about it and speak up about how they feel, because sometimes you'd see that you just see the athlete, but you won't know like what type of stuff the athlete is going through, what he's facing, outside external factors. So yeah, I think the mental part is becoming a very interesting one. Not interesting in terms of like to hear what people are going through, but like it's becoming something that we all are trying to speak up about and trying to share, because I think we as rugby players, we don't really speak about it and tap into it as much as we should.
Sports psychology has become quite a big thing in the last decade or so. And I'd imagine high performing sports teams to focus on that mental aspect as much as the physical aspect. So do you have sort of sports psychologists that works with the entire team on a programmed basis, or is this more of just a come and go when you need it?
Yeah, so we do have someone at our union, Tom Dawson Squibb, which is very good. I rate him. And he usually comes in and basically does touch on the team as a whole, but he's available to just check in and to chat as an individual. And I think like each player should not have one, but like should be able to see someone where they just can go and like be like, okay, this is what I'm facing, this is what I'm going through, whatever, and just get that emotions part like out of the game. Because I think a rugby game it's just like anything else. Like it's like going to the gym as well. For me, like I think there's nothing more and nothing added to it. You just play the game and there's nothing else that can impact that. But I think the emotional side and, as I said, like the psychology part does play an impact. And I think if we as players can get that out of the way and go into the field and just express ourselves and just play the game, it will definitely have a huge impact. I think it will positively impact all of us.
So when you were at school, were there any subjects that you really enjoyed?
Yeah, so I was very into business studies. I'm actually at the moment doing some business, BA marketing. So that's why I went into, because that was one of my favorite subjects. Otherwise than that, I wouldn't say that was anything really interesting me. I had a bit of science, but left science. And I had biology as well, which was also not too bad, but I knew that wasn't my kind of route that I wanted to go through. My business studies I really enjoyed, and I also had a very, very hardworking and very honest teacher. He basically allowed me to just like enjoy the subject very much more, because I think usually like with teachers, they just give you work and expect you to do it, whereas we were doing practical stuff, and we made us enjoy it. And it I had a lot of classroom sessions and stuff like that where people could like be themselves and come forward and present something, which was very exciting for me. And I know that I work very well with people, so that was something that really
Nice. There are young kids out there that are also looking at rugby as a potential career now, or at least in their minds, that's the ideal career. But we've got many schools across the country. We've got many high performing sportsmen and sportswomen. And if you look at like the Craven Week rugby, you've got dozens of rugby players that wish that they had the opportunity to play at an international or national level, but in many cases simply don't, either because of parental pressure to sort of take the safe route. What would your advice be to somebody who is in matric at the moment, considering playing rugby full time, and is because in the end of the day, it's a difficult decision. You've got to either back yourself and go at it 100%, because you can't do it 50-50, or you've got to go and try and play rugby at university and see where that leads you. But what would your advice be to that 16, 17, 18-year-old kid that does well at rugby, wants to take it a step further, but is concerned about potentially not making it?
Yeah, for me, so I would definitely recommend any player, any sport, to go for it, you know what I'm saying? So I would never say rather not try and go for being a professional athlete or professional rugby player. I think actually go for it and give it a shot. Work hard. That's inevitable. But I think just to go out and back yourself. Give it a shot. If it doesn't work out, don't be too hard on yourself. Make sure that you have something, or there's something that interests you, that you want to do outside the rugby. It might be, helping your local community, whatever. But anything that's going to make you happy. I think the most important thing is to do something that makes you happy. And not everyone is going to make professional or be a professional athlete. I think. If you look now, there's only 45 players in South Africa that can have a professional contract per union. I think it's less than 1% that can actually make it. So you also have to be very realistic with yourself and be like, okay, if I do not make it, what am I going to do after that? And for me, you have to do something that's going to make you happy. You can't go be an accountant if you don't want to be an accountant and your parents want you to be an accountant, what I'm saying? You have to do something that's going to make you happy as a person, and also to go somewhere where you're going to have a positive impact. And, I think at the moment in South Africa, we aren't helping or positively helping and impacting other people. I think that's something that we are lacking, and I think we need to put a big emphasis on that and really just tap into that and make sure that whatever we do as a person or individual, that we will have an impact. Even if it's just a guy staying down the street or whatever it may be, even your colleague, if you can just have a positive impact and help them, one life is better than nothing, man. So I think just be realistic with yourself, but do give it a go. I think it's really important that you do give your dreams and your goals a shot. I don't think it's not worth doing it, because then you actually you're not helping yourself. So
no, that's a great answer. I guess you're a living example of somebody that didn't give up on their dreams. And you have such a great sort of prospect going forward, because again, you're only 22. So from here on forward, the world's your oyster. Very exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And just to touch on that, I forgot to say it now. It doesn't matter where you come from. For me, I'm from Strand, where rugby is a big part of my community, as I said earlier. But I didn't have the opportunities that other people always had. I had to go a different route, sometimes when we had to go for trials, I had to catch lifts, or you might be facing those kind of stuff, as a player or as an individual. Everyone has an opportunity, an equal opportunity, you know what I'm saying? I had the same opportunity when I was at Cravenwick or going for trials to play Cravenwick as the guy who was at Bishops, you know what I'm saying? So everyone has a fair shot and equal opportunity. So just go for it, man. And it's regardless of your situation that you're in, don't think I'm from this school now, I'm going to be competing against the top schools, I might not make it or whatever. Just go for it, give it your shot. Doesn't matter where you come from or what you're facing at the moment. For me, I was also thinking, I was Flip, I don't think I want to make Ravenwick this year, but I did. And for me, it led me to other places where I was able to get a bursary to attend Paul Roos. And from there on, the rest was history. And then I knew, look, now I've got the best facilities now in the world to go do my training, extra training, where I could never do that before when I lived at home, because it was sometimes too dangerous to walk and stuff like that, because I couldn't excel my game. Now I had the opportunity, and from there on it was in my hands. I was in control, and as I said earlier as well, you are in control of your work ethic, the way you as a person, you take your values forward. And as I said, obviously you and your family, you have to take that into consider as well. You know, you're not just representing yourself, you're representing your family, your community, and all the people that knows you, and you know, that kind of like brand, if I can say it like that way.
Yes.
So yeah, everyone has a fair opportunity. Give it a shot. Don't be scared, man.
That's a great answer and very inspiring. I think a lot of people need to hear that. So something that happened to me personally about two years ago, almost 2.5 years ago, and it was a big setback and a change in my life. And given I'm no professional sportsman, right?
Yeah.
But this was when I tore my ACL, completely blew my ACL to pieces. Reconstructive surgery, had to get the whole thing redone.
Jeez.
And it really set me back. Now, as a professional sportsman, you know, I can imagine this is one of the big things that sportsmen are, you know, most aware of and I would say concerned by, because that's the one big thing that can change. You know, touch wood, it doesn't happen to you. But, you know, how do you sort of navigate that potential fear when you're on the field? You know, you're going into massive tackles. You're putting yourselves in situations where your body's on the line in many ways. Aside from strength and conditioning work that needs to be done in order to strengthen all of those weak points, are there, you know, how do you as a sportsman think about that?
Yeah, for me, injuries it's inevitable, if I can say it like that. Like, you're gonna get an injury, and if it happens today, next year, whatever, like, if you do get an injury, this is just my opinion, and I feel like, for me, I go out every game giving it everything I can. If I do pick up an injury, so be it. You know, I'll focus on that process once that's done. But yeah, for me, like, I'll go into the field, you know, giving my 100% everything. And yeah, I don't have an ACL. That's bad, I know. The recovery part for that is very difficult, and mentally it does take a lot to overcome something like that. But I've had 2 scopes on my left knee, and I've actually had 3 injuries on my left knee, which also set me back. Yeah, meniscus, lateral and medial. And yeah, I mean, like, it does get lonely in there, doing rehab, and you know, it's not just rehab, but it's doing 2 gym sessions a day, doing watt bike, doing rehab. So it does become a long day, and you know, seeing your mates out on the field, you know, doing what they love and playing the game, and you not being able to play. Yeah, that's when your support system really does come in handy, and you know, they have to be there for you and not just focus on, you know, them as well. They need to be there for you and invest in you and make sure that you're in the right mental framework. And yeah, I think just for me, as I said, as a player, you know, I don't think about injuries. They are in the back of your head, and you do think about them. But once you go onto the field, or I go onto the field, you know, I take the game as it comes, and you know, I'm not afraid to put myself into those big collisions and those, you know, moments where I have to commit my body on the line or put my body on the line. You know, I go for it. But yeah, injuries is a big part, and you know, it's never nice to see a guy get injured. Like one of our players, and guy that I know is Willendaba. He's a young guy coming into our squad, and we had captains training the other day, just running through the moves, and they were playing. Saturday was the Friday at Cape Town Stadium. Did one sprint, and his Achilles snapped. And I mean, that was gonna be his first chance to just get into the team. And yeah, my advice to him was just like, man, like, listen, like, it happened now. There's nothing you can do about it now. Like, go cry, go do your thing for tonight. Like, you know, but you will get over it. And once you do get over it, like, then just focus on the healing process now. Focus on getting better. What are you gonna do in this time, you know, of having 9 months off? How are you gonna improve yourself as a person? You know, maybe look at an entrepreneurial program that you can attend. Look at something that's there for you as a person and as a player to, you know, improve yourself and just get better, because within that 9 months there's a big window for you to become better, not just on the field but off the field as well, which is very important. And yeah, for me, that's been something that, you know, one of the guys, Chris van Zyl, who's our captain now for this campaign, and he's been around the block a few times. you know, he's a big driver of that. And for me, like, I've been so blessed and amazing to have someone like him, you know, who's so amazing. You know, he's got his own consulting company. Obviously, he had obviously to take a different route, but you know, he's just like one of those leaders and people who lead by example. And you know, for me to see him there every day and still get back to his work after training inspires me. And it's like, why can't I do that?
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, for me, like, I think injuries are almost like a blessing in disguise, because I think like once you get that injury, you can focus on something else and something you don't always have time to.
Yes.
So yeah, that's probably my take on injuries.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's great advice, you know, to give to a younger up and coming player that's now experienced such a big setback. So speaking about other players, top of mind, you know, worldwide, right? So any team, any player around the world, who in your mind is sort of one of the most inspiring individual rugby players out there?
Top of my mind, I'll probably say, for me, obviously, to be Quade Cooper, but I think
in terms of, so for example, you know, if you look at, Sia is obviously an inspiring rugby player because of what he's accomplished and what he's had to overcome, you know, but in terms of inspiring players, I think somebody like Richie McCaw, although he's an arch rival of any South African, you know, what he's been able to do, or what he did with the Kiwis, as over the years as captain was inspiring. You know, but from the rugby player's perspective, are there any of those sort of standout players that you look at and say, well, look, that's what a captain should be like, you know, that's what a all-round, you know, individual should be like?
Yeah, then definitely I think Sia. Definitely. The man is just, he's just one of the most loving, caring and generous people that I know. Just like on and off the field, you know, he's a true gentleman. Someone who lives up to his values as well. He's a very good husband and father, which I've seen over the past 5 years now, being one of his teammates and playing alongside him. And yeah, man, he's just such a genuine and, you know, true leader, both on and off the field. You know, always take other people's not expectations, but he takes, you know, to heart. Yeah, man, he's like the work that he's done off the field, you know, with freedom of movement, you know, and obviously bringing us the World Cup home, him being the leader, you know. Yeah, he's just an absolute legend, and yeah, I have so much respect for Sia. Obviously, when he left now, you know, it was a sad day for all of us, and we are gonna miss him here in Cape Town. But yeah, people have to move on. But yeah, I think definitely if inspiring leaders, definitely Sia. It's been amazing to.
What a great story! I don't think a lot of people had us winning the 2019 World Cup, and then we came in and did it. What was that like for you? You know, as a South African rugby player.
Obviously, I was in England, so I was watching the games from London. But yeah, it was the whole vibe. Even in England, you know, it's on all the screens, and you could just feel the buzz of, you know, it's World Cup time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, even like some people that I know who don't even watch rugby that side, they started watching rugby, and yeah, just seeing. I think the whole World Cup in Japan was a vibe and something to watch. There was something, okay, you know, even like the pre-match stuff. It was very cool. But yeah, just the whole experience for me at the World Cup, you know, it was amazing. And for me, just to be able to be part of a World Cup group, you know, it's something that I've never witnessed. You know, we see this like videos of Real Madrid and those guys, like the level they operate coming off the bus, and like paparazzi everywhere, and it's like snapping pictures, and it was like that level, you know. It was like, okay, you're at the World Cup now, and you're not just at some tournament. But yeah, that was a dream come true as well for me, you know, to be able to play in a Rugby World Cup match, even though it was against Canada. You know, it was a game where I got my first try in. And yeah, just so grateful to have had an opportunity, you know, to be one of the few selected guys
Yes.
in our country to represent the Springboks at the Rugby World Cup. And it was all in all, it was an amazing experience. I think despite us winning the World Cup, I think the way the team and the coaches, molded the team and made sure that, they take this whole journey, I think that's for me the proudest moment of the World Cup. Obviously winning the World Cup was the bonus, but the work that the guys put in, even when I got there, like the guys were still working hard, so focused, so determined, just to bring home the Rugby World Cup. And for me, like not even playing and just watching the guys put their bodies on the line, not only for themselves but for each other and for the country, and to go and win that silverware. It's flipping proud, man.
Amazing.
Yeah.
No, I mean, just me obviously watching as a South African, just one of those historical moments that you never forget. Well, look, bringing things to a close, we like to ask our guests a couple of things. And first question, are there any books that have inspired you, books that you would highly recommend to anybody? And it could be on any topic.
I'm not really a guy who reads books, but I like podcasts. Yeah. So I'm big into Gary V.
Okay.
Gary's one of my how can I say, like, heroes when it comes to motivational speaks, and when it comes to entrepreneurship. He's someone that really does inspire me, and I like to just view his content and to listen to what he's saying. And I think he does give me a lot of perspective in life, around, like, especially for me as a professional athlete. Sometimes you do get lost in the hype a little bit, and you do think that you're the man now.
Yes.
And sometimes, like, how can I say, you like become complacent, and you think like things are just gonna happen, and everything's cool. You don't have to go to the gym now today, and just viewing his content and seeing perspective that he has, and it just really inspires me. And I don't know, like, for me, like, he's someone that I look up to. I'm not, as I said, like, I'm not someone who would invest the time to read a book. Learning from him. I mean, he's also a very successful businessman, and
definitely speaks to to a young audience, but in a very powerful and impactful way. And then in terms of education, is there anything that you believe about education that you think people may disagree with? So one of the common ones may be, for example, that the education system doesn't work, or people should, or for example, the current curriculum system that we have is not the right way to go. We should actually have a wider variety of types of education. So what would your thoughts be on, for example, having different types of schools and different types of tertiary institutions like universities and so on that cater for different types of individuals? Because at the moment we have like a very set type of traditional schooling system.
For me, I think it starts, probably with the education that pupils or learners get, especially in primary and high school. Obviously, as I said, I was fortunate enough to get the best, possible education at Paul Roos, and teachers who were there to serve you as a learner and to make sure that you are the best, and that you do, when you do go to university, that you have the proper knowledge. And that, obviously coming from primary school, from Samson West Methodist Primary, the level up to Paul Roos standard was it was a level up, and I struggled my first grade 8 to grade 10, but grade 10 I started making the switch that, okay, I have to invest a little bit more. And I think grade 10 I already knew that, listen, after this I might have to go study, but the teachers and everything already put in the work for me, so for me it was basically me now taking the control now and just keep working hard. So I mean, I was blessed to have very good teachers, and I think it does depend on the teacher as well as the individual. But I think if the teacher can get the learner to just get that extra 10, 15, 20% of concentration and, willingness to actually come to school and work hard. Because at the moment, a lot of like young people, they don't even want to go to school. And if they don't go to school and don't attend school, they're not going to be able to, get the marks that they want. And they won't be able to then get into a business school or a university or whatever the case may be. So I do think like there's a big responsibility on the teachers, to ensure that, they can do the best they can for the learner and make sure that they do serve the learner and make sure that the learner do come out the best at the end of the day and be the best person. I think does go deeper than just like coming to school and just giving them the work to do, but maybe just step in and make sure you get to understand the backgrounds that people do come from and just invest a little bit more. For me, that's what I've seen, and that's my personal opinion.
That makes complete sense and super appropriate, because in the end of the day, we live in an interesting country where we've got all kinds of problems, but a lot of those problems can be solved through education and access to education. But it's always inspiring speaking to people like yourself that have gone that non-traditional path and decided, hey, I'm going to back myself, go all out and become a professional sportsman. And also not only that, but do it at the highest level. So it's great to speak to guys like yourself that are not only doing that, but also staying humble, and thinking about the future and continuously looking to learn. That's something that the youth can take as inspiration, because here you've got somebody that has sort of reached the heights of what it means to be a professional sportsman, but at the same time you're still looking to expand, and continue on with a business degree, and most likely venture into all kinds of entrepreneurial ventures down the line. So thank you so much for coming on. It's been a great conversation. I really appreciate you taking the time. And thank you very much.
Yeah, Phil, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome,
Thank you so much, man.
The Future Minds podcast is brought to you by Smartic. Smartic is an award-winning, intelligent, online mathematics and coding program for kids aged 4 to 14. Powered by sophisticated, adaptive AI, Smartic teaches kids math and coding from the comfort of home in as little as 15 minutes per day. For more information, visit smartic.com or download the app on tablet or iPad today.